Hey guys, this is Delora Dabbles here, and this is my 500 subscribers episode where I answer the questions in the comments and I talk about what we discussed in the comments in a video. Yay! So, a lot of people really like ceremonial magic and high magic, and that is certainly what I was attracted to when I first got into this, and whenever I first started making videos last year. I was more doing the ceremonial magic, or trying to. Now that I'm living with my parents, it's a little bit more difficult to get away with the ceremonial magic. My parents, they're kind of more okay with a more like grassroots kind of witchcrafty sort of vibe. I think the ceremonial magic vibe and the sigils would be a little much to be doing in their house, right? My dad is more sensitive than I thought he was spiritually. So that's the thing. I think if I were to start doing ceremonial magic, he would definitely be like, "What you doing in there, honey?" Like, what's going on? So I pretty much keep my stuff down to minimal rituals, no rituals inside the house, and just trance states and kind of reading more informative type stuff and doing more meditations and a little bit of like self-growth, because you're gonna get self-growth by doing ceremonial magic. It's not like ceremonial magic isn't meditative or introspective. It is, but again, my dad is a lot more spiritually sensitive than I was thinking he was. So I don't really want to be shifting energies in this house because he is very susceptible to those energy shifts. All right. So with that being said, some of the books that I have really enjoyed doing and the meditations I've enjoyed doing, this one here, I already did a review on it. I love everything about Psychic Witch. What I like about this is that there are so many exercises to choose from. You don't have to do them all the time. It would be impossible to, actually. But you can be like, okay, I want to incorporate this into my practice. And you can find out, like, and look at your own schedule and be like, okay, like, I'll do these the first week of the month and these the third week of the month and things like that. Like, you can literally build a schedule purely off of all the exercises in here. There are so many. More books that are more into the shamanism stuff. Chris Alon has made a lot of really good books in the past few years. He has Underworld. He has another book on the Underworld. He has Upper World, and he has Otherworld. And I think he's coming out with another one, maybe. Let me see. Okay, this doesn't... Aha. Yeah, Underworld, Shamanism, Myth, and Magic. Deeper into the Underworld, Death, Ancestors, and Magical Rites. So, the second one, again, is more gonna be more magical rites in there. But I really like that he's doing this, right? Because you do have the upper world, the upper world, the lower world. You have our world, and then you have our kind of like more invisible counterpart to our world, right? So I'm really enjoying, I'm reading Otherworld right now, even though it's his newer one, because I think Otherworld is a really good place to start before you go into the upper world. But that's just me. You might decide that you go to the upper world first and then the underworld. But what I like is that he's got all of these books out now that you can pick and choose which one you want to start with, right? Okay, which like realm you want to start with. You cannot talk about that kind of magic without discussing Josephine McCarthy, our favorite crotchety old Irish lady who writes the best books. Okay, her voice is so funny and she is so self-deprecating and sarcastic. Like, it's a fun read, and she will tell you all the stupid mistakes that she has made. And if you don't listen to the Glitch Bottle podcast, you should definitely start, and you should look at Josephine McCarthy's interviews, because she is a hilarious old crotchety Irish lady, and she will tell you like it is. So I have not read the third book in the Magical Knowledge series because it really like went way beyond where I was. I would say I am at the foundations level. I did read the second one, but I didn't feel comfortable doing anything in the second book for real, because it was just, I could understand that that was the next level, but I wasn't ready to take that plunge yet. I might soon, we'll see, but again, we'll see. But these are great resources. This is slightly less regimented, right? There are certainly things that she wants you to do to build up your magical muscles, let's call it that. Build up your magical muscles, right? Now, if you want something super regimented, she has a Quarea course. It's called Quarea, and it is for free online. Completely free, guys, and a lot of her books here are available for free on that website. I know Magic of the North Gate definitely is. So, tons of resources. She wants to make sure that no matter what your socioeconomic class is, that you have access to these tools. And it cuts out the gatekeeping, because again, she is Irish. She is an older Irish woman who was alive in a time when Irish people were treated like shit by the British, and they had to fight for their rights over there. So she knows what it's like to have doors shut in your face. And so she doesn't want anyone to feel that in their magical journey, so she makes everything available for free. Okay. Some other books that I really like are books like this one. This one is all about like the physical kind of postures and gestures that you can make while you're meditating, right? And the correspondences that those postures have. Okay, I was making sure my parents weren't coming home. This is the front door. So I didn't want them to be like, pew! Like, yeah, anyway. Books that have information in them that I can utilize and incorporate into my practice. So this is a good example of that. But there are a lot of books that are coming out that are kind of like, they're not going to be the whole puzzle of your magical practice. They're just going to provide one piece or two or three pieces that you can fit into your own puzzle, right? And I really like books like that because it gives you the control that you might want if you are more of a person who has an idea of what their magical practice wants to be and you want to have control over how you do it, right? But like I said, you could take highly regimented ceremonial magic systems and you can incorporate the puzzle pieces you find in these books into any magical system puzzle, since we're going with that analogy. Something that is more like shamanic but a slightly more regimented would be the Temple of Shamanic Witchcraft by Christopher Pinchak. I don't have his other temple series, but I really like this one, so I might consider getting more. But again, if I'm going to go into something highly regimented, I've already decided that I prefer Josephine McCarthy's Quarea course to that. So, yeah. I do have Modern Magic by Donald Michael Craig. No. Is that his name? Yes. Yes, that's his name, I think. Anyway. This one is a really good one. Everything that Aidan Wachter puts out, again, it's going to provide puzzle pieces that you can fit into your own magical system puzzle. Right? And then, last but not least, some of my favorite books in my collection. Anything by Jan Fries. Anything by Jan Fries. I actually really need to give you guys a review of Elrunar because that's like my favorite. So the first book I read by Jan Fries, but it's one of my favorites, and it's about Norse practitioners. This one is Celtic, right? And it's perfect, and I love it. But Jan Fries is definitely some kind of anthropologist or historian, because he always starts out and he gives you, so like in Cauldron of the Gods, he talks about the Celts, like the ancient Celts, what the Celts were, how they were literally the main culture of Europe before the Holy Roman Empire invaded, right? Yeah. So, and he gives you, because there are different time periods of the Celts, right? And someone, I watched a really, really funny TikTok recently. This guy said Vikings are Celts 3.0. And I was like, yeah, no, he's not wrong though. Like, he's not wrong. It's kind of funny. But yeah, whenever you're talking about historical reenactments and you're talking about trying to rebuild an ancient culture's lost magical systems and practices, you really have to understand the archaeological context. You have to understand the findings. And there are a lot of people that once something is published, they will believe that it is wholeheartedly true, that whenever something else archaeologically is found that refutes what was found decades ago, they will not update their magical practice. So that is an issue. What I particularly liked about Elrunar is that he talks about human evolution in the beginning. He goes all the way to the beginning of humanity, right? Because a lot of people that are drawn to Viking and Norse mythology are white supremacists. And this is something that we have to talk about in the Norse paganism community if we are ever to eradicate it. And what I love about Jan Fries is how he talks about we all came out of Africa, right? I took a human evolutions class in college, and everything Jan Fries said wasn't new information to me, but I'm really glad that that was the first book of his that I read, because everything he said was factually accurate. It is what I learned in a university class about human evolution. So I was like, this dude really did his research and really knows what he's doing and what he's talking about. And the way that he handles talking about other cultures is in a very academic light. But whereas most academics don't want to touch on the magical and religious practices of a group, that's all he talks about in his books. So even if you are not interested in any of the subjects that Jan Fries talks about magically, right? But if you have an academic interest in them, they're still amazing works. Anyway, that's what I have been doing. I've also been doing a ton of knitting because I've been stressed, and whenever I'm stressed, I knit. I'm almost done with this beautiful lace jacket. I cannot wait to wear it and show it to you guys. So, but while I knit, I'm always watching TV, and what I love is Wondrium. It used to be called The Great Courses, but a bunch of those like Great Courses type websites kind of conglomerated to become Wondrium. And yeah, they have really amazing documentaries on other cultures, religions, and things like that. Right now, I'm watching their course on ancient Mesopotamia because I can't resist. One of the biggest reasons why I have wanted to kind of go back in time more in my magical practice is because I kind of want to study the evolution of magic as I'm practicing the evolution of magic, right? So the very first magical practitioners were doctors, medicine women, midwives, things like that. So shamanism and soul journeying and witchcraft, that is really where you can kind of tap into the beginnings of magic. Now, as you get into more ceremonial style magic that is more regimented, more controlled, more sophisticated, not in a, like, oh, fancy, but like sophisticated as in like there are lots of moving parts, right? There are a lot of correspondences. There are a lot of moving parts. It is like sophisticated, like how a machine would be called complex and sophisticated, right? We kind of evolve into those magical practices, right? We didn't just start out like, oh, here are all the correspondences and highly regimented and complicated rituals. We evolved that as we evolved our societies. So I kind of want to move in that direction with my magic and take a break from ceremonial magic to study the more kind of like the beginnings. I hope that this makes sense. I'm going to wrap this up just by saying, hopefully in a more clear way, as humans evolved magic into something more complicated and sophisticated, I want to move my magical practice and start off with shamanic practices, witchcraft practices, get those under my belt, and let my practice naturally evolve into something that is more regimented and complex and has a lot of correspondences to it. I want to kind of map the evolution that humanity took with my own magical practice. Okay. Little eccentric maybe. I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. But it will be a while probably before I put out books on things that are ceremonial magic based, things like Kabbalah and stuff like that. So I hate if that disappoints you guys, but this is the direction that I'm kind of going myself. But like I said, like if you're into all of that, there are tons of people that talk about ceremonial magic online, and Damien Eccles is one of my favorite resources for that. So maybe he can become your favorite resource for that too. Until next time, happy dabbling and bye-bye.